Alright, now that we have created our virtual machine and installed Oracle Linux and configured additional Linux tasks, the second step is we need to configure prerequisites for grid infrastructure installation. So in fact, we have to create a second node also, but we will defer that for some time. What we will do, we will fully configure first node and clone it and create the second node, so that we don't need to repeat these configuration steps on the second node again. So what we'll do now, we'll go ahead and configure prerequisite steps on the node. So what are these prerequisite steps? This slide shows you the prerequisites for grid infrastructure installation. There are around 12 prerequisite steps that you must configure, and some of these steps are marked in green color, optional ones. These can be manually configured. Alternatively, Oracle provides an RPM, Oracle Database Pre-install RPM. This RPM will automate the database pre-installation tasks, specifically the ones marked in green color. So if you install this RPM, the tasks highlighted in green color are automatically configured for you. If you don't install this RPM, you have to configure all these tasks manually. So that way, this RPM, Oracle Database Pre-install RPM, automates some of the pre-installation tasks. So what we will do, we will go ahead and install this RPM to reduce our work. So directly go to the system and on the node, log in as a root user and let us install this RPM. What is this RPM? Oracle Database Pre-install. For 18C version, you have to use 18C. For 19C version, you have to use 19C. For 12C version, you have to use 12C. So because we are preparing this node for 18C installation, we'll go ahead and install Oracle Database Pre-install 18C. .x. So let us install this. Now you can see it is going to install Oracle Database Pre-install 18C package and additional dependent packages. So you just have to accept this, say yes, let all these packages be installed on the system. And once again accept this prompt. Done. So once this package is installed, you don't need to manually configure these tasks that are marked in the green color. These are all taken care for you by this package. For example, if you see, it must have created a user named Oracle, then groups, DBA group and install group and other groups required for installation. You can just verify that if you want. If you say now, ID Oracle, you should see Oracle user created, install group created, DBA group created, Opera group created, backup DBA, DG DBA, KM DBA, rack DBA. So it has automatically configured these for you. So now what we need to do, we have to configure other tasks manually. So what is the first one? Configure IPs and host names. So in rack environment, we have to configure different IPs, different interface names, either in DNS server, you have DNS server, or a local file, which is etc host. In case of Linux, the etc host file is where we configure IPs and host name details. So let us do this task. I am connected to node 1 and I have only one node now, of course. So open this file etc host and you will see some default entries. Below these default entries, open a new line and enter the details of first node and second node. You must have received the IP address details uh, for node 1 and node 2 from me. You just input those details in this file. So for first node, what is the public IP? 192.168.1.164. This is my first node public IP, and the first node name is rack1.euclidit.com. Short name is rack1. Then the private IP address of first node is rack 10001 and the name is rack1prev.euclidit.com and short name is rack1prev. Then the VIP address of the first node. So in my case, my first node VIP address is 192.168.1.166 and the name is rack1vip.euclidit.com, rack1vip. Then even though we don't have a second node now, we have to enter the details of the second node also. So for the second node, what IP we are going to assign later? It is 165 in my case, and the second node name would be rack2.euclidit.com. Short name will be rack2, and the private IP address of the second node would be 10002, and the private interface name would be rack2prev.euclidit.com, and short name is rack2prev. Then the VIP of the second node would be 192.168.1.167. Then the VIP interface name would be euclidit.com and rack2 VIP. Then we will be using a scan during installation. Let us enter scan details also. My scan IP is 192.168.1.169 and my scan name would be scan1.euclidit.com. Any name, short name would be scan1. So that way you have to enter the IP details and interface name details of every node in either DNS server or etc host file. Save this. That's it. We completed step number 1. Then create user and a group for grid infrastructure installation. We are going to install two software. One is grid infrastructure, second is Oracle database. Grid infrastructure and Oracle database software can be installed under a single Linux account, or you can install them under different Linux accounts. I am going to install them under different Linux accounts. For grid infrastructure installation, the account name would be grid. For Oracle installation, the account name would be Oracle. So Oracle account is already created by this package, and the Oracle database groups are already created by this package. For grid user, for grid installation, we have to create a grid user and the groups. So let us go ahead and add this user. Or first create the groups, group add -g. So you can see the existing groups before you uh, create new groups. In etc group, we have the groups. Install group is created. DBA, offer, backup DB, DGDBA, KMDBA, RACDBA. So these are all the groups that are automatically created by the pre-install RPM. Now what we'll do, we'll create the groups required for grid infrastructure installation. And the group ID must be same across every node. Let us create the group required for grid infrastructure installation. Group add -g. The group ID you can give manually. You can give group ID or let it automatically allocate by Linux. So what group? ASM admin. So we created ASM admin, and if you check the etc group now, ASM admin has been created. Similarly, group add ASM Oper or ASM DBA and ASM Oper. So these are the three groups required for ASM instance administration. Once again, if you cat etc group file, the last three entries are what we just created, these three groups. Then we'll go ahead and create a grid user. Oracle user has been already created by the pre-install RPM. You can see etc password file where Oracle user account is already created. So let us go ahead and create a grid user. And grid user, the primary group must be install, and the auxiliary groups ASM admin, comma, ASM DBA, ASM open, and the username we need to create is grid. That's it. Now you can verify etc password file and see if the account grid is created or not. That's it. Now this step is done. Next step is already taken care by this RPM. Oracle user is created and DBA group, other groups are also created. Only thing is now what we need to do is Oracle user should have membership in ASM DBA group so that ASM disk groups can be visible to Oracle user. So we need to modify Oracle user and ensure membership in ASM DBA group. So let us do that. How do you modify existing user? User mod, and the secondary group, the auxiliary group membership, we want to add to ASM DBA -a, and for which user? Oracle. Now verify ID Oracle. It should show Oracle has membership in ASM DBA group also. That's it. Next, we will reset the password of grid and Oracle user. Password grid, set to some new password. Similarly, password Oracle. That's it. Next, we need to create installation directories like Oracle inventory directory, Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory. Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory must be created for grid infrastructure installation and database installation. So let us create these directories. The first one is inventory directory. OFA directory structure is user1 app vara inventory. And the ownership should be for grid user and install group. And change the permissions to 775 on user1 app vara inventory. So the inventory group has been created. Next, we need to create a Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory for grid infrastructure installation. Change the ownership to grid install on this base directory. And permissions 775 on. Next, home directory for grid infrastructure. Home directory must be outside the base directory for grid infrastructure. And the typical OFA directory structure is user on app, the version 18C version which we are going to install, and the grid. Then the ownership, grid will be installing, grid user will be installing. And permissions, that's it. Now we created Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory for grid infrastructure installation. Similarly, we need to create Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory for database installation. And these must be owned by Oracle user because database will be installed as Oracle user. OFA directory structure is user on app Oracle should be the base directory, and Oracle user must own this. Similarly, create a home directory. OFA standard is Oracle base product, the release number db home underscore 1, and this should be owned by Oracle user. And permissions 775. That's it. Now we created the required directories for grid infrastructure installation and Oracle database installation. Then kernel parameters, shell limits must have been taken care by this pre-install package, pre-install RPM. Next one is stop and disable Avahi daemon. How to do this? You can check system CTL status Avahi daemon. Now it is active and running. We must stop it and disable it. So this is how, sorry, data service. So it is saying it's stopped, but it can be still activated by this daemon.socket. So what we will do, we will stop that also. Systemctl daemon.socket, and we will disable both of them. daemon.service, we will disable this, and socket also we will disable. Done. Next step is rename files under etc ntp. We are not going to use a Linux network time protocol for cluster time management. So let us rename these files. Change to etc ntp. You will find two files here. Rename them. Just say keys.org, move.org. So just rename them or remove them. Then install OS packages. These are taken care by the RPM. Then final step is install and configure Oracle ASM library. So we need Oracle ASM libraries to manage the shared disks. These libraries, let us see if they are installed already. If they are not installed, we need to install them. What are those libraries or packages? Oracle ASM support. So let me check if they are installed. RPM-QA grep Oracle ASM. These are not installed. So let us go ahead and install these. How do you install? Yum install Oracle ASM. Accept. Done. Next, we need to install the second RPM, which is Oracle ASM support. Accept this. Done. So once these packages are installed, now we need to configure Oracle ASM library. For that, you will say Oracle ASM configure -I. Now you need to input some details here. Default user to own the driver interface. Grid, because we are going to install ASM software under grid user. And the default group to own the driver interface. It should be ASM DBA and start Oracle ASM library driver on boot. Yes. Scan for Oracle ASM disks on boot. Yes. Done. Now we have to load the Oracle ASM library driver. So for that, Oracle ASM init. That's it. So these are the prerequisite steps that we have successfully configured. So now, once you are done with all these prerequisite steps, the next step is we'll clone this node and create the second node so that we don't need to repeat all these steps on the second node, because we have configured on node 1 and cloning the node 2, all these steps would have been configured on node 2 also. So in the next video, I will show you how to clone and create the second node.